This is Movie Night with the Boys.
Hi, welcome to Movie Night with the Boys. I'm Zach, and we're a podcast that talks about movies, TV shows, and sometimes video games. And today we have a special guest with us, Matt from Math Teacher Movies.
Hey, how you doing? I should correct you quick before it gets to it. It's Sean from Math Teacher Movies. But
Honestly, I have it written down. I don't know why I said Matt. I totally apologize.
No, I think it's like one of those things where you just see the MAT for Math Teacher Movies, and then people just go right into it. Yeah.
Yeah. I apologize. My
No
bad,
problem.
Sean. Yeah. No, I was like Sean, and then I was like, oh damn, screwed it up. All right, so yeah, yeah. So tell them about yourself. Like,
Yeah.
how long have you been podcasting?
So I started in about 2019. I started an Instagram called Math Teacher Movies because I am a math teacher and I love movies. And my personal account, people were getting sick of me posting about movies, so I was like, all right, I'll focus the audience a little better. And then I met up online with someone who's a really close friend of mine now, and it's my buddy Joe, and he lives in Philadelphia, so we've only met a couple of times, and.
Okay.
He had this podcast going called the Guy at the Movies podcast, and he said, hey, do you want to come on as a co-host? And I was like, yes, absolutely. I'll be able to just talk about movies even more. And so we've been doing that for about almost 2 years now. We just passed through our 100th episode. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I've listened to a couple episodes. I usually only listen to podcasts while I'm working, right? So being off for the last 2 weeks, I haven't really listened to too many podcasts. But so I have a lot to catch up. So
that's usually my problem. Is during my vacation time, it's I'm just watching every single movie known to man, and so then I'm behind on all my podcasts after that. So
Yeah. No, I've watched so much stuff in the past couple of weeks. I'm like, damn, I gotta get my head back in the zone for this, right?
Exactly.
Right. So, do you have any background with horror movies or the Scream franchise?
I will say I absolutely do not. I up until a few years ago, I was way too scared of horror movies and everything. I never went to see them. And then I just realized, I started to like them. I equate them to spicy food, where the process during is horrible and it's painful. And why am I doing this again? And then right when I'm done with it, I'm just like, oh, I kind of want to try it again. That was pretty awesome. When I took on the hottest wings and everything. So I've started to absolutely love them since, and you'll see me in a theater, and even in the least scary movies, which this one not terribly scary but has its thrills.
Yeah.
But you'll see me completely crouched in this fetal position. I've got one buddy that loves to go to scary movies with me, and I call him my scary movie partner, but I think it's more he thinks it's for me, but it's more for him because he likes to look at me and just laugh his ass off at me. But yeah.
Okay. That's pretty good.
With the Scream movies, the Scream movies. So I watched all of them because I knew this new Scream was coming out last year, and so I kind of did one each week, and they started to get more interesting, and so I was once a week, and so they started to build in different ways. So it was very they have been very fascinating at this point.
Okay. I don't think I've watched 4, Scream 4. I think I stopped after 3, right? I don't recall. Yeah, I did enjoy them, right? I'm 30. I'm turning 30. I just turned 32 actually, right?
Nice.
So yeah, I'm somewhat familiar with it, high school watching these Scream movies, and I was like, okay, let's see what they're doing now. And I kind of found this one was I enjoyed it. It was a little weird with all the little technology changes, but I thought it makes sense.
I mean, it's tough because these movies are sort of bulletproof because they are making fun of themselves the whole time. And in '96 when the first one came out, that was this huge revolutionary thing. Oh my god, a movie is telling on itself. Meanwhile, nowadays, almost every movie does that. Everything's meta. But the fact that people could say, oh, Scream 5 was just constantly talking about this and being aware of this, and it's well, yeah, but that's what the Scream movies do. So you can't really hate on it for that.
Yeah, right. I mean, throughout this whole movie, it was basically they were talking to us, the audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
The whole time they're like, "Oh yeah, in the first act, this happens, and then when the third act happens, this happens, right? And you're just like, am I watching Deadpool? Like, what is going on?
It was well, there was the scene in the living room where they're literally listing different types of movies and like going over all of those types. And I remember just like as like a cinephile, like I was just so giddy, like sitting up in my seat when they
Yeah.
just went through them. This film had to like take on like the new like invading species, and it did it pretty well. Is the prestige horror, which like some people are just like, let's just have fun with the movies, like Stab or Scream, or instead we'll have like we'll watch like The Witch, and like there's like no blood whatsoever, and like everyone's
Yeah.
speaking in weird dialects. I love both kinds, but like it was interesting that they had to take that on as well.
Yeah, no, I definitely enjoyed it. It was a nice take on like they kept saying throughout the whole movie. It's shit. What were they saying? It's
Requel.
a requel.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So I was like, yeah, you know what? It really is, right? It was very meta in that sense, right? So yeah, no, I enjoyed it. So yeah, let's get into it, and yeah, we'll talk more about it at the end. All right, so Scream 5, or just Scream, which I was a little confused because like I'm looking for it, and then on Amazon it's Scream 5, but then when I'm looking for it, like the wiki page, it's Scream, and I'm like, what is going on here?
There was this moment when they prepared that and they announced that it was just simply like going to be Scream. It pissed me off to no end because I'm like the five could be like the S in it and stuff like that. Then they use that exact joke for Stab 5, and like they say the 5 could have been the S, and I felt pretty
Yeah.
cheated. I don't know, like I was maybe it's just great minds, but I think I have some money.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. But yeah, no. So, all right. So the movie opens. We see Tara, and she's in a kitchen, and the phone is ringing. She hangs it up, which I didn't even know that you could do that on the landline. Right? It's been a long time since the landline, right? So
That was truly amazing. Like the technology where it was the landline, the fact that they had the landline and they're trying to do new technology. It's maybe there was a symbolic moment there, but yeah, like
yeah, right. Yeah, so she's texting one of her friends. The phone rings again. So she finally answers it, and it's some guy named Charlie, one of her mom's friends. He gets all creepy with her, says he wants to play a game, and she hangs up the phone. She texts her friend, and she's like, "Yo, some creepy guy called me, yada yada yada." The guy messages her back, and she's like, "This isn't Amber." And so she freaks out. He calls again, so she answers, and so now he wants to play a game. He questions her about all this, like about the first Stab movie, and she gets all the questions right, except she gets the last one wrong because she says one killer, but there's
yeah.
two in the original, right? So the guy's like, all right, somebody's gonna die. So she freaks out, grabs a knife, and runs to go try and save her friend Amber because did they video call or something? I remember seeing a video and the guy had like a knife and you see Amber in the background.
I meant to rewatch this beforehand and I didn't, and I feel terrible. But I think that there was a video call uh, gag that occurred sometime in this movie, so I think it could have been around this time, or it was at one of the other murders. But it could have
Yeah.
been around now.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure it was now because yeah, he showed because you see a knife kind of and he's like somebody's going to die and then that's when she throws her phone down. And so she runs and she opens the door and boom, Ghostface is there, right? Slashes her across the stomach and then somehow she's able to close the door, right? Yeah,
Panic
I was like
strength, panic strength. That's Jenna Ortega is a tough one. She's been through a lot these past couple of years, so I got to give it to her.
Yeah. So, yeah, so she gets the door closed, she locks it, then she can trigger the security system on her phone. And then 2 seconds later, it unlocks. They disable it. And so she re-enables it and they go back and forth a couple times, right? And then all of a sudden the phone rings. She answers it and he's like, "Did you activate the security system before I got in?" And then he grabs her, stabs her in the stomach, throws her on the ground, stabs her a few more times, and then he just raises his arm up, comes down and slashes, and then we get the title card. Now, I was like, "Holy crap, this movie is going to be pretty brutal." Right? Like they stabbed this little like she's like a small chick, right? And
Yeah,
like
she's like feels like maybe low high school, grade school, like easily.
yeah, right. And I'm actually familiar with her from from the TV show You.
She was
On
in
Netflix.
You?
Yeah, she was the younger sister. Um,
Oh wow,
of
I gotta
this.
go and look back at that.
Yeah, remember like Chris D'Elia, drugged
Oh.
her, and she was on the couch and stuff like that. That was her. Same.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I've heard. So she plays some pretty messed up roles.
Well, she was in where she shined for me was in the same year. It just came out on HBO Max. Hopefully, HBO Max didn't delete it like they did all the other stuff. It's The Fallout, and it was she plays the survivor of a school shooting, which already like very quite heavy. But
Yeah.
it's interesting the perspective that she has from it, where it's not she doesn't go full activist or full trauma. She's just like kind of somewhere in the middle, and that was like a really interesting balance to see.
Huh, okay. I have to check that out. I haven't seen that
Yeah,
actually.
it's a great movie, but it is wonderful that after all that, she survives, which is.
Yes. Right. I mean, it was brutal. Like he broke her leg, everything. Like it was extremely brutal, right?
It was an interesting thing to do because that is, I believe, if I'm going through the first scenes of every Scream movie, that's the first time that the first person survives, and
Yeah.
in this one, eventually becomes the final girl/girls. And so, I mean, like her recovery time is ridiculous. Her ability to survive is ridiculous. But I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm having fun. Like there were so many people that were just like beyond upset about this. I'm like, okay, yeah, I know, but also this won't happen anyway. So let's just enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like I just watched Prey like 2 nights ago and I was like, "Oh, very like, oh, what the hell? What that doesn't make sense," and everything. But like I watched this and I was like, I'm enjoying it." Like obviously there's some plot holes, but like I just didn't really like I was just enjoying the movie as it was going, right? Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed Prey too, right? But I
Oh yeah.
just was like nitpicking it for for some stupid reason. I think it's this the podcast, right?
For me, like Prey was the one where like I don't like this term that I'm about to use, but I did a little bit shut my brain off, and just like when he's like taking down all the colonial people, I was just like, this is awesome, and I couldn't
Yeah,
hold
yeah,
back. I was like just like pure carnal instinct on that one.
yeah. No, no, don't get me wrong. Like I loved all the kills. I was like, this is completely badass, right? So so yeah. So after the title card, we cut to outside of a bowling alley and we meet the couple of Sam and Richie. Sam gets a call that Tara's been stabbed, but she survived. And we also learn that Tara is Sam's sister. And basically they go and they head out to the hospital.
This is so this is like I'm trying to like put this together. This is Dylan or oh excuse me, not Dylan Quaid, Jack Quaid and
Yeah.
Melissa Barrera, I believe.
I'm really bad with names.
Yeah. I'm oh well hey guess it is because I am on IMDb right now. Like
Okay.
you're bad with names. I'm completely cheating. So it's Melissa Barrera and Jack Quaid, and it's interesting obviously as who Jack Quaid becomes. But I'm just looking through, and this cast is like the greatest cast ever in like 5 years. Like this is right now,
Okay.
like it's like one of these where right now they've all like been in something. You've seen them in you've seen them in 13 Reasons Why, like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, The Boys, In the Heights, and like all of a sudden they all have like this one key pivotal role, and I think like all of them are going to kind of elevate very shortly.
Okay. Yeah. No, I could totally see that. I mean, everybody did a pretty great job, right?
Oh yeah.
So yeah. So then we cut to the rest of the cast. I believe they're all in high school, right? Like they were. I was a little confused because they were in a bar and I thought they were drinking in the bar. So I was like, are they college aged? But they were at a school with school buses. I was very confused on the aging there, right?
We needed our Henry Winkler principal back. That was the problem. We didn't have him to ground us. He would have known what they were, but no, we didn't have it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, right. So we meet the rest of the cast: Wes, Chad, Mindy, Amber, and Liv's stalker, Vince. Basically, they get a call, they find out Tara's awake, and they all head out, but Liv stays behind for some weird reason, right? It's not like the stalker left, he was still there,
It
right?
was one of the setup things where it's just like you know what? Sure, like that's going to be the one very like large like dump truck hole like that we're going to have, but we're just going to have it. Like we just need to have it
Yeah.
to make that next thing.
So then we cut back to Sam and Rich. I'm just gonna call him Rich. Screw that. So we cut back to Sam and Rich, and she's telling him basically about the the Ghostface killings and everything that's happened in that same town, right? Which is pretty messed up. But they get to the hospital, and Rich is introduced to everybody. And then we see there's some tension between Sam and Amber suggests everybody leaves. Tara asks Sam to stay, so she stays. And then once everybody's gone, we see Tara kind of break down, and it was pretty sad, right? Like she was, yeah, like I said, like the acting is very well done in this one. I was very surprised, right?
And it's great because the story is like pretty ham-fisted. I remember like obviously I enjoyed myself throughout this whole film, but like when you're trying to get like the you left us and everything like that, my eyes start to roll, but then I'm like, you know what? Like they're still like selling this pretty well, and it's a like slaughter movie, so why am I really like getting too upset about like that? But I really really like loved their connection, especially because you could say that it happened quick, but like they both sold it very nice.
Yes. No, for sure. Definitely. I did think it was a little weird that she kind of warmed up very quickly to her,
Yeah.
right? Especially after so-called abandoning her. And it was like, why is your friend more pissed off about that than she is, right? But again,
that is true, yeah.
right? But again, at the same time, you're like, oh, you know what I mean? They are sisters, right? And there is that connection that, you know what I mean, will always kind of be there. And you always kind of forgive your siblings. It kind of does also make sense, right? But it didn't make
There's a
any
blood
sense
is
why that.
thicker than water thing, yeah.
Yeah, it really didn't make sense why the best friend was so like clingy, right? Those are some signs right there.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah,
then,
exactly.
yeah, right. So we cut to the bar, and the group is talking about Sam. We learn why Sam or Amber doesn't like Sam, and basically what we just said. She abandoned her sister as soon as she turned 18. She left the house, and I think that was pretty much it, right? Like I
That
mean,
was
she
the
brought a lot of.
exposition at the bar, yeah.
Yeah, right. Or she brought a lot of drama to the family because she was always getting in trouble. And then as soon as she turned 18, she just up and left, right? Then we get Vince. Vince shows up, and, Chad being a Chad, you know, goes up, gets in his face, and, they're talking back and forth. And Vince pulls a knife. The bartender, says, cut that crap out, get out of here, kicks everybody out of the bar, right? Then we see Vince behind the bar. He's, taking a leak. His car turns on. And he's like, "What the hell?" So he thinks it's those kids, like the same group messing with him. So he goes to check it out, and there's nobody here. So he goes, reaches into the car, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this guy's super dead.
Yep.
You're super dead." So there's like an ice pick in his like ignition or something like that, a screwdriver. I didn't really see it, but whatever, no biggie. So he pulls it out, he gets out, and boom, Ghostface is behind him, stabs him in the neck, and he bleeds out. Right.
Beautiful needle drop of red right hand for all my Peaky Blinders fans out there. Like, just hearing that, it might have been out of place, but I kind of just enjoy it. I'm like, oh, this like weird stalker guy's like gonna get his, and then you hear that song cooking, and it's like they're making this murder pleasant. Like, because this one's not the scary one. This isn't some innocent person or anything like that. They're making this one pleasant so that like we start to pay attention to the fact that Ghostface is coming again, which was interesting because this is technically the first person dead. Like, after I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because first one survived, right? Stabbed 7 times. My question, right? My question was like, when he slices and we get the title card, like, what did he slice? You know what I mean? 'Cause I would have assumed it would have been the throat,
Zach, the
but
screen. He sliced the screen. Don't you understand? Like, come on now. Haven't you, haven't you seen the Scream movie?
No, that makes sense.
The lens is just gone now.
Yeah, so then we cut back to Sam, and we learn that she's taking antipsychotics because I guess she sees visions of her father, right? So, yeah, my issue here was
Yeah.
how does she know? Like, is she just seeing the actor, like, who played in the movie because she knows that that was her dad, right? Because he dies in that movie, right?
Yeah, she never met, or I don't think ever met her dad because, yeah, that wouldn't make any sense because he dies right then and there, I believe. Yeah, Skeet. And so that's just kind of, yeah, is that older Skeet. This is like the whole thing where Anakin shows up as the Force Ghost at the end of Ep 6. It's like, it's like, wait,
Yeah.
maybe he doesn't. No. Don't be pulling that crap. So with this situation, I don't really know like what this point. It was already like this crappy plot line anyway. It's like you didn't really need this. I know it was like they wanted to connect it. I get what they were trying to do. This was just very unnecessary, but. I don't know. Yeah.
No,
Tough
it
call.
really it really didn't make any sense because like throughout the movie when he pops up again, he just like, "You're gonna let them threaten your sister? You gotta go save your sister." And it was like, dude, you are the beginning of this whole issue. It was him. So like why all of a sudden is she hallucinating that he's like, yeah, you have to go defend family when it seemed like he would have probably
Murdered.
killed
Yeah.
him. Right? So that was a little weird, right? Then she gets a call from Ghostface and she basically talks some shit to him. She's like, "Yeah, I'm here, come get me." And he's like,
Oh.
"All right." He's like, "All right." And then he just comes and he's like there and he just starts attacking her, right? So
These are the kind of things where Ghostface is on the phone and he's just like, please say, come get me, because I can say I'm right here, because I can say I'm right here. It's like the James
yeah.
Bourne lines where he's just hoping they say, like, they lie so he can say right next to you. He's just like, he's giggling in his little mask.
Right? So, yeah, so basically she gets away, finds a cop in the hospital. He goes, checks it out. He obviously Ghostface is gone. Like, oh yeah, he's just gonna attempt to kill me and then he's still gonna be there, right? You know? Then we cut to the sheriff and the sheriff is talking to everybody and so basically Sam kicks everybody out and then she's talking with her sister and then this is where so basically Sam tells her sister that her real father is Billy Loomis, which Scream fans will know that's the original killer, right? From the first Scream movie, the guy again like we said who started it all,
Good
right?
old Skeet.
And she's the reason basically that Tara's father left, right? Because she was, throwing this book in her mom's face asking, "Why didn't you tell me who my dad was?" And the other guy didn't know, right? So, yeah, he just kinda up and left. So, she kinda felt guilty from that, and Tara just basically tells her, "Get out." Like, I guess she just doesn't know how to handle it. I mean, I wouldn't really know how to handle that either,
Yeah, you have
right?
7 holes in you, and you just find out a huge secret about your family, and the person in front of you has caused the destruction, and you have 7 holes in you. So, like, I think like that's probably.
Yeah, exactly, and a shattered, like, leg too. Can't forget about that. You're right. So, she leaves and she tells Richie to like, she's talking to Richie, she tells him to leave since, her father was a serial killer, and he basically is like, "No, I'm gonna stay, you know, I love you," that nonsense, right? So
Ugh.
so basically they leave and they go to find an expert. We next see Dewey and he's watching Gale on TV as, broken-hearted men do. Um what I kind of missed or I didn't quite grasp was who broke up with who. I wasn't sure if Dewey left Gale or Gale left him,
I
right?
think I can't remember anything about I almost said Scary Movie 4. I can't remember anything about Scream 4 honestly, even if they were in it, or I truly can't remember Scream 4 at all. So I don't know where it was left. I think they're doing that fun little like requel thing where it's just like, oh, they haven't been together in 20 Jurassic World, like, oh, they haven't been together in 30 years. Like there wasn't
Yeah.
actually a breakup on the screen, but it, happened eventually. There could have been a story told in some sort of exposition, but I can't quite put my finger on it now.
Yeah. No, in the movie, they did mention something, but I don't know if I looked at my phone at that time because I was getting food at the same time. Um, but I think I think when Gail was talking to him when she first sees him, she says, "Don't forget, I'm not the one who broke up with you," right?
Oh. Seems like
But
a Dewey move.
yeah, and he just kinda, like, left her. Yeah, because he did, because he was crying and he was like, "I was a coward, I
Yeah.
left and stuff," so I think he broke up with her. So,
Oh,
yeah.
Dewey.
So, brokenhearted Dewey watching Gale on TV. So, as he's watching the show, Sam arrives to his house, and he really just wants nothing to do with her, right? So, she basically says, "I'm the daughter of Billy. And he's like, all right, come on in. And like, I would be like, yeah, no, I'm good.
It's like,
It's
I'm not
okay.
talking about any of these murders. I'm the daughter of the first murderer. Okay, come on in. Like, let's I'll put on some coffee for you.
Right. So he's talking with them inside their house, and we see he's pretty much has like PTSD almost, right? He's very cautious about everything. He starts telling them the rules of how to survive.
Yeah, oh,
Basically,
I like how they're now like straight up biblical. Like in the second one, it was Jamie Kennedy like just being drunk, but in this, it's like they are now like he's like putting down his staff and he's like, "These are the rules." It's like-
right?
I loved that. I really
Right.
did.
And so basically he calls out the whole movie, right? He's like, it's somebody who has a connection to everything and the love interest, right? So I was like, hmm. But I mean, watching this movie though, I was having trouble figuring out who the killers actually were, right? Because everybody was acting so suspicious throughout the whole movie. I honestly couldn't figure out who it was until it was actually revealed. So I enjoyed that.
I tell you, I never even try with these things. Like it's not even an enjoy the ride thing. It's just I know that I get so pissed off by those damn red herrings. Sometimes the red herring turns out to be it, and so I'm just like, okay, you know what? Like I'm not even try. I'm not gonna try this stuff. I'm just gonna watch each part. But then everyone else is like guessing each person. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah, I sat back and I was enjoying it, but, like, what I mean by that too is, like, I didn't be like, "Oh, okay, that person could be it," like, they just gave themselves away. I was like, "This one was actually really well done." At the end, I was like, "Who the hell is the second killer?" Right? So and I was like, "Oh, they did this actually pretty well," because I had no clue because everybody was suspicious to me. Like, I
Well,
thought I
they
thought
did
it
a
was
great
the
fake out.
twins.
Yeah, oh, the twins. Yeah, I thought the twins too for a little, but they did a great fake out with it, where it was just the one killer, and then Quinn shows up, and then they're like, "There's always two," and I was like, "Damn it! I thought I was done. I thought you
Yeah.
had me."
Right? She tries to convince him to help her, and he basically shoves him out of the house, closes the door. We then see him call up Sydney and tell her that it's starting again. They warn each other to be safe, and then we see Dewey text Gail. And I thought that was cool. I didn't think they were really going to be in the movie very much, right? So,
I liked their role because it was still prominent. They were still there. They still had a lot to do, especially in that third act. But I enjoyed the fact that they did stand back and let the kids handle it, which was kind of a cool thing to do.
oh yeah, right. No, I legit thought they were just doing like cameos. Like, oh, okay, Gail's on the TV. That's that. Dewey said no, he's retired. That's that. And Sydney was like, oh, okay, well, I'm with my kids safe. Cool. And that's that, right? I did not expect them to come out of quote unquote retirement and help out the kids, right? So then we see Dewey open a box, and in the box is his gun and his badge. We then cut to Sam and Richie as they're joined by Dewey, who decided to help them after all, right? We see that they're at the twins' place, and we learn that the twins are actually the niece and nephew of Randy from Scary Movie 1, 2, and 3, I believe.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, right? I forget his name right now, but, like, you you know who that character is,
I
right?
do, yeah. I'm looking him up quick now. But I recognize his face. That's what's driving me nuts.
Yeah, he's the guy I think he was, like, making the videos, right? He was always, like he was the movie guy,
Oh
right?
yes, yes, yes.
Right, yeah,
Oh,
so he was always
okay. He was Jamie Kennedy. Okay, yes, he was the one that
yeah,
like did the
yeah,
rules in the second one. Yeah.
yeah, right? Sam basically tells him her story and that she thinks that it's probably one of them who's the killer, and we learned that Vince is the nephew of Stu Macher, who was the second killer in the
Yes.
original Scream movie, right? So everything is just kinda connected, right? So, again, it's a requel, right?
Yeah. They're really pushing like this is like she's she's related to Palpatine. Like they're really
Yeah.
going for for like they're stretching it.
Right? Mindy starts going off about the killer doing a requel, and she accuses Sam of being the killer. Sam kind of gets pissed off, drives off, and she has a hallucination of her father and almost crashes essentially, right? Or gets smoked by another car. I don't know how how you would put that,
A little bit
right?
of both. Yeah, I'd say the second one.
Yeah, yeah. So We then cut to the sheriff's house, and she has a small scare from her son, which her son is Wes,
Yeah.
right?
This was the very cool like daylight scare scene. Like this was the one where I was just very impressed because there was like there was a freaking a black tapestry like hung somewhere, and I was like, that's Ghostface Killer. He's about to be killed. No, it's just like, and I was kind of like, this is like they're doing a well lit scary scene, and I really enjoyed that happen.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
that was a fun one for me.
Yeah, right. So she leaves to go and get dinner, and she gets a call from Ghostface telling her that he's gonna kill her son. And she basically races back. And as she arrives to the house, Ghostface kind of just steps out from around the corner and just stabs her in the gut, and then just brutally stabs her a bunch more times. Right, kills her right then and there. Then we cut to Wes. Right. So
Unbelievable. Like that was
yeah.
kind of the craziest one for me. Oh my god.
Yeah, no, I was like, yeah, this is really well done because I honestly thought that he was just gonna be in the house. I didn't expect him to like pop out of that corner. I was like, oh shit,
Mm-mm.
he got her, right?
Like just oh man, just so good.
Yeah, right. So then we cut to West, and he's moving around his house and stuff. And this is where they're doing what you were saying, like a
Mhm.
whole bunch of times. You see him like he opens the fridge, and they start playing the creepy music. He closes the fridge, and there's nothing there. He opens the closet, grabs some stuff out of the closet, closes it, nothing there, right? And then finally, we hear the door open, and we're like, okay, this is the one, right? And so he goes, he closes the door, and as he turns around, boom, Ghostface is there and just stabs him in the neck. I was like, oh, damn, that's pretty brutal, man. Like, just pushed him up against the door and just, yeah. And yeah, it
It's
was,
it is the several ultimate fake out thing where now I know that if you're closing the cabinet like that and there's a mirror behind it and everything, you're not going to see the murderer. You're going to see him inside the. But that they just kept up to an almost Seth MacFarlane level where I'm just like, oh my god, okay, no, 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 and then like so by the time it actually happens, it still surprises you, which is like I was pissed. I was like, you kidding me? Like, come on, I was prepared for this.
right, right. I was like, oh my god, how many times are they gonna do this? This is like the locking and unlocking of the door in the first scene, right?
Oh man.
So then we see Sam arrive on the scene, and right after Sam gets there, we see Gail. She's now showed up, and she has the assignment to, you know, report on this thing because, she's been in every other movie.
She's the only reporter in the tri-state area.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So she spots Dewey and she rushes over to him angry. And basically, she's pissed off that he told her about the killer via text message. Right.
It's like the ultimate text message breakup kind of ploy.
Right. Well, I mean, first of all, he just walks out on her. Then just like, oh yeah, text message. Oh yeah, the killer's back. Smiley face. Right. He sent a smiley face in the text message. Right. So
I forgot he did that. That's actually great. Oh
yeah.
man.
Right. So they have a little sad back and forth. Then we see Richie. He gets a call from Sam when she hangs up on him, realizing that the cop who's supposed to be watching her sister is now at the crime scene. Right. So she goes and rushes off, and Dewey jumps in the car with her, and they go to the hospital. We then see Tara in the hospital, and for some reason, the lights just turn off, and nobody else is on the floor.
This is the greatest hospital ever. This is the hospital of like any Halloween movie when Michael Myers just clears the entire staff out. And there have been justifications for this where someone once said like, well, I think she was on like a specialty floor and stuff like that. I'm like, there'd be a nurse. There'd be like something blinking. Like for the love of God, something would be on there. It worked though. It really did work. I liked it. It was just like this was where the directors, and I want to talk about these directors in a little bit. Like this is where they were just like, yeah, we're going artsy. I don't care about logic. We're going artsy, and I almost appreciate that.
Okay. Okay. So so she struggles, gets into her wheelchair, leaves her phone behind for some reason, right? So she rolls out and she finds a cop like bleeding out on the ground. I mean, good instincts because her first instinct was to try and grab his gun, right? She tried to go for the holster and the gun was gone, right? So she goes, she finds a phone in some room, and then we hear the doors open. And this is where Richie kind of shows up. And she's like kind of skeptical. Like, that was the thing about this movie. Like, everybody was suspicious of
Yeah.
everybody, right? It was, again, I enjoyed it, right? For what
It's
it was.
it's so tough when you're looking at that because it's just like, I mean, if I was in the murder mystery, like this is where like their lives just are still movies, and like they are like real life movie characters where like, you know, like we're suspicious of Richie, so everyone else could be suspicious of so therefore those characters must be, because they're like viewing their own movie. It's like a little bit of a nutty meta thing, so
Yeah.
it does take reality right out of it.
Yeah, for sure, right? So as Richie is talking to her and rubbing his head because she smashed him over the head with the phone, Ghostface shows up and decides to knock out Richie. Which again, that was a clue right there that I didn't
Hmm.
realize,
That
right?
was a good one. Yeah, that was a solid one. I
Yeah,
like that.
right. Because she like Ghostface could have legit just stabbed him right in the back and killed him then and there, right? So yeah, just a small spoiler,
I
but
forgot
yeah,
about that. Yeah, interesting.
right. And again, I enjoy it though. I enjoy it now though
Oh
because
yeah,
I didn't see it at first, right? So
yeah.
that's always the nice thing. Sam is trying to call Tara, but Ghostface all of a sudden has her phone. So he answers it and he tells Sam, "All right, choose who you want me to kill. Do you want me to kill Rich or do you want me to kill Tara? Pick and choose."
Which
And
that's quite a gamble. Like, now
yeah,
that I think about it, yeah.
right? Right? So, but again, too, watching the movie, she never had any she was straight up just gonna kill Tara no matter what. Like there was
That's true.
no contemplation there, it seemed, right?
There's not like a code to this guy, and like code
Yeah, right.
to the ghost face killer.
Yeah, right. So, but wait, actually didn't Billy stab and kill the other guy in the movie? Or I might be mistaking it with Scary Movie,
I
right?
think you might.
Because
Oh,
they do parody it so much, so I could just be getting those two mixed up, right?
ugh. It's parody of a parody. Honestly, it's so tough. Like,
Right? So basically, she stalls him out on the phone. Sam and Dewey show up. Dewey shoots at Ghostface. Ghostface kind of runs off. They grab everybody, and Ghostface kind of just runs out. It was kind of weird. It's like he ran away, then came back right away. Basically, started fighting with Dewey. Um, they're going back and forth. Dewey falls on the ground, gets his pistol, shoots Ghostface. Ghostface falls down into it looked like a trophy case, but I don't know why a trophy case would be in a hospital.
I was about to say it's a trophy case, and it can't be a trophy case. This is something where maybe they switch sets midway through, and they're just like, "Oh crap, wait!" Like that would make more sense with the dark hallways too. Like, so maybe they just like said like, "Oh, I guess it's a high school and a
and,
bar and
and
a college."
right? Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Just a college campus.
One giant building.
So yeah, so Ghostface is down in the trophy case, and so the group is about to leave, and Dewey goes, "You always shoot them in the head." So he ends up staying behind, and he goes to essentially execute Ghostface. And right as he's about to shoot, his phone rings, kind of distracting him for a second, and Ghostface just gets up and stabs him in the gut. And this kill, I will say, is definitely extremely brutal, right? Like they ripped into him and like almost gutted him essentially, right?
It's brutal, but this is monumental for the Scream franchise because it's like the common joke is Dewey gets like his ass kicked, like and like is should be dead in every single movie and always lives. And so like when it happened this time, kind of like, all right, he's coming back, and then like there was a little bit of the sad music playing. I'm like, oh, I still expected him to show up in the final scene or something, but like it was one of these things where I'm like, he's finally dead. It's so like
Yeah.
that was monument after always almost dying so much.
Yeah, no, exactly, right? I was like, "Oh, damn." So, from this point, I thought they were gonna kill off the majority of the old like, all of
Hmm.
the old cast members because it was like, "Okay, let's kill them off so then their story is done," right? And we'll continue with these new ones if they do go and make, Scream 6, right?
Exactly. That's what I was starting to think at this point, but I wasn't sure because it's like, would Courtney Cox and Nev Campbell come back to get murdered? I mean, David Arquette, he just has fun. Like he's a fun-loving guy. He's like, yeah, he can kill. Like, but the other two, I'm not sure.
Then see Sam and Tara, and they're having a little bit of heart to heart. They decide to leave, and as they're leaving, they run into Sydney. And basically, Sydney knows exactly who she is, who her father is. And Sydney and Gail try to convince her to help them, like help them take out the killer. But she's like, yeah, no, I'm leaving. Right. And she leaves. But we find out Sid put a tracker on her car, which I was like, okay, so she's James Bond all of a sudden? Like, what?
I mean, I'll say that yeah, when you survive 4 movies, like you guess what, you've known a few things. That's her the line she has, like, I'm Sidney Prescott. Of course, I have a gun. Like it's just like, of course, I have a tracker. I'm gonna just I'm coming in loaded. Like I got like 2 belts across this, like getting ready to go.
Yeah, yeah, right. So then we see Tara, and she realizes she forgot her inhaler, and they go to Amber's because supposedly Amber has one of her spares for some reason, right? And were those two dating? Like, I'm so confused. Like, that girl was so protective of her and
I think
everything.
just very close friends, but they didn't make any indications, with the exception of like, yeah, Amber like willing to kill for her,
Yeah,
and then
right.
almost did the same thing.
Right? Yeah, no, and then she doesn't kill her earlier on in the movie, or later on in
Yeah.
the movie either. She just kind of ties her up, and I was like, "What is going on here?" Like, I'm very
There's like,
confused.
well, there's a delight to it, and there's the fan, like, you want it to look just like the typical serial killer movies, I guess, because she was the one that was the fan of it all. Like,
Okay, well, yeah, I guess, yeah. Then we cut to Amber, and she's at a party, and all the other kids are there, and for some reason they're partying, taking shots, and doing it in honor of Wes, right? Like,
yep, it's a West party, yeah.
right? Okay. So, all right. That's how we do, like, like wakes or whatever you call them, right?
It's just an excuse to party. It's like, hey, guess what? We can party. Our friend died. Like,
Right. So then we get a creepy back and forth between Mindy and Amber, and Chad and Liv kind of have a fight, and Liv storms off, right? Chad goes after her after I don't know how long it was, but apparently she wasn't answering him. So he goes off after her, and I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, he's dead." So I mean, I guess he's not one of the killers, right? So he goes off into the bushes looking for her. He gets this weird suspicious text message that has a tracker app on it, right? And it's just like, what the hell? Like, if you were in that position, would you be like, yeah, I'm gonna follow this when people are getting murdered, right? Like,
I would sort of think that there's no trackers that are this pinpoint accurate. If I'm like near my house, the blob goes like all over my street. Like, there's nothing, like, it doesn't really point on basic ones.
yeah, right. So yeah, I don't know. So he follows the tracker, and lo and behold, Ghostface shows up, stabs him like right in the leg, and I was like, oh yeah, this he got like there's an artery or something in like where he got
Hmm.
stabbed, right? So I'm like, oh yeah, he's bleeding out, and I was like, okay, maybe we'll get a brutal kill here. He'll just bleed out before he makes it back to the house, right? So he's hiding, and then he decides to make a dash for the house, and Ghostface just decides to bust out of the garage, right? And, finishes him off, right?
Solid trailer moment, though. I remember seeing that in the trailer. It's just like, this is a pretty cool looking. Just he's limping away, and he's just like right on top of him.
Yeah,
Oh,
right. It was good. It was good. Then we see Sam's group. They arrive at the party, and as soon as like Tara gets there, Amber just shuts the party down. She's like, "All right, party over." I was like, well, "Why?" But it
she's ready for
makes
the theater. Yeah.
right. It makes sense, right? So after everybody leaves, we see Liv. She shows up, and she has an aggressive conversation with Mindy, and then basically storms off because now she's pissed off. Like, the fight she had with her boyfriend, like with Chad, was that Chad thought she might be the killer, right? And
I think
so
I heard that.
right? And so now she comes back, and now Mindy is like, you might be the killer. Like, where's my brother? You know what I mean? So again, another like suspicious thing, like she just like shows up, right? So
That was just a very cool scene. I remember when the two of them sort of like are kind of like sharks circling each other, and
yeah,
like they like it's just this moment where you're like, is something going to go down? Is someone going to stab the other? What's going to be the exact moment of what's going to happen? That was like really, I liked that. Yeah,
right. So she storms off, and then after they have their conversation, we see Sydney and Gail, and they call Sam to tell her that she's in the original house where all the murders took place from
hmm
like the original movie. Yeah, Billy and whatever his name is killed everybody in the first movie, right? So they're in the same house, and she needs to get the hell out of there, right? We then see Mindy is still in the house. She's watching a movie, like she's a weirdo, man.
yep.
She's watching one of the stab movies and she sees her uncle, and I think it's the scene where he gets killed, right? And she's like
That,
screaming at the TV, turn around, and we see
a tribute
Ghostface
to
come
Screen
out.
Two, yeah, like a tribute to Screen Two with no doubt, which I appreciated that. Like
Yeah, right. And so yeah, we see Ghostface come out. She's yelling, turn around, and then she decide like I don't know why, but she turns around and then she gets stabbed off screen, right?
this was a very hot fuzz level of like a lot of people are getting stabbed, end up being okay. We see a lot of people getting like I think both twins end up okay. Like I think like there's a few other people that like get stabbed. I mean, this is the century of like people getting stabbed but getting like put into the ambulance fine, which was a very weird kind of move.
I don't think both twins survived. I think Mindy survived because I think she only got stabbed the one time,
And
right?
Chad didn't.
Well, Chad was the one that got finished off, like
Oh, when
remember?
he got yeah, he got moved on
Right.
like that. Yeah,
Yeah. So I don't. I mean, I didn't see it, but I'm assuming that like that was an easy target because there was nobody around, right? And he was
exactly.
already limping, right? So I assumed that she was dead. After Sam shows up, Ghostface kind of runs off after attacking Mindy, and Sam goes to check on Mindy when Amber comes out, and she's like, "What did you do?" Starts blaming Sam. And then Liv shows up. So Liv has blood on her hands, right? Because she just found Chad dead in the
Yeah,
yard, right? So yeah, he is dead.
he is
Um,
dead. Yeah.
yeah, right. And after this back and forth, everybody's like, "Oh, you're the killer." So everybody, Rich blames her, and then everybody just starts blaming her. So they push the blame onto her, and then Amber's like, "Yeah, screw this," pulls a gun and just murders Amber, right? I was like, "All right, I dig that."
Oh my god.
Uh,
That was
so
that was beautiful. Like,
it was. I was like, "Oh, damn. Nice." Right? Rich and Sam, they basically run to the basement, and then we see Gail and Sydney, they arrive at the house, and we see Amber kind of stumble out saying, "Oh, they stabbed me. They stabbed me." And the like Gail is like, "Yeah, this is a trap." And so Amber's like, "Yeah, screw this." Pulls out a gun and actually shoots Gail, right? So
yeah,
Gail hits the ground and I'm like, "Okay, well, I would know we have one left. One left of the original cast." You know what I mean?
that was like,
So
yeah. At that moment, you're just like, okay, so they are.
yes, exactly. Right. Yeah, they're definitely getting picked off one by one. And yeah, so then Sam runs back in the house, disappears, and Sydney follows after her. And then Sydney does some cool, like, I don't know, police thing where she's just going around straight up just like clearing rooms like she's on the SWAT team, right? You know, putting bullets in and stuff. And so finally she comes across Rich, right? Rich is hiding behind a door. I
Oh
think
yeah,
she gets a phone call, right? And Buddy's like, threatening her and whatnot. And then she hangs up the phone and because she's like, "Oh, I found you." Shoots Rich in the leg through the door, right? And Rich is like, "Whoa, you just shot me in the leg." Da, 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 da. And then all of a sudden, Ghostface comes out and tackles her, and they both fall over the railing and just hit the ground, right?
oh that was yeah, like just oof,
Yeah.
massive head trauma if ever.
Yes, exactly, right? Drop down from the second floor. Um, right? So they're fumbling to go get the gun. Rich is trying to like limp down the steps to go get the gun, and Sam comes out, grabs the gun, right? And so she's now pointing it at Ghostface, and Rich comes down and she kind of like pushes him like get behind me, and he stabs her, and we find out Rich is the second killer. And
There's
I was
always
like,
two killers.
yes. And I was like, honestly, I did not see that coming. I
It
was
was a
like,
great move, yeah.
yeah, I had no clue who it was. And I was like, okay, that's really good. I enjoy that. So basically, they get everybody, put them in the kitchen. They have this whole back and forth, and Rich kind of explains why he's doing it all, right? Like he wants them to make another good stab movie. Like there hasn't been a good stab movie since Stab 1, and they want to make new source material so they can write a good movie, and they want to pin it all on Sam, right? The daughter of the killer from the original movies, right? So that's their plan. They
It's a brilliant take on toxic fandom too, because it's just like we get all these like IPs that we all know and love, and then we all start, and so we want them all to be created our certain way, and not we don't all start creators for it, but like it does seem like that obsessive culture or that obsessive fandom could really end up like be getting you in that kind of fashion.
No, yeah, no, actually, yeah. When you put it that way, that's totally true, right? Like, yeah, when the producers and like the studios start making crappy versions of your favorite characters, you're like, yeah, no, we have to do this better. Like, come on, guys. No, totally. I didn't even think of it that way, actually. So Sid ends up reaching for something and Amber just stabs her in the stomach, right? So now every single person has either a gunshot wound or a stab wound, right? So now everybody's injured.
It is just like now everybody has an injury that possibly could be fatal, maybe not, but like should be fatal.
For the most part, you wouldn't really be moving around like the way they were, right? So Rich sends Amber to go find Tara, right? Obviously, Tara put her in, and so Sam's like, Rich is being all cocky, talking to Sam, right? Like, see, I even made you not trust your sister. And then we hear Amber call out, like, she's not here, right? And then Rich is like nervously, like, shit. What do you mean she's not here? What do you mean she's not there, right? So basically, so as Amber is looking for Tara kind of jumps her and just beats the crap out of her um with her crutch, right? Like just slamming, and then all of a sudden, Gail and Sydney are now fighting 2-on-1 versus Amber, right?
Amber.
And so oddly enough, Amber gets the upper hand. I mean, it makes sense because one is shot and one is stabbed, right? And so, but so Amber gets the upper hand, and right before she's about to kill Gail kicks her and she kind of falls into the stove, turning the stove on very conveniently, right? And Sydney smashed a bottle of hand sanitizer on her face, right? So she's covered in sanitizer, right? So then Gail or Sydney hands Gail a gun, and Gail shoots Amber, and Amber falls onto the stove and just ignites, right?
Truly wonderful, because that actress is Mikey Madison, who also was burst into flames in Once Upon a Time. And so at this point, her career mark is being in 2 movies where she's trying to murder someone and ends up getting burst into flames and still somehow some kind of surviving.
Right? Yeah, okay. So that's her stick. Almost burning alive, right? So then we see Rich and he's about to shoot Sam, and she ends up finding a knife, and she does this little spiel about, oh, you shouldn't threaten me or whatever because I'm the daughter of a serial killer, and she stabs him right in the mouth, and I was like, oh, that was sick, right? But then she just goes and just starts stabbing him like repeatedly. Like I lost track of count how
Oh
many
yeah,
times.
no, she went nuts.
Yeah, right. And then at the end, she just slits his throat, and boom, that's pretty much it. He's essentially dead. And then Sydney and Gail come out, right? And Sydney just shoots him a couple times, or gives the gun
Oh
to
yeah.
yeah, gives the gun to Sam, and then Sam shoots him a couple times, shooting him in the head, and then says, always shoot them in the head, right? And then at this point, we see Miss Burnt Chick Amber come running out with the knife, right? And Tara ends up shooting her in the head, killing her, and basically that's pretty much it. So then we see everybody outside. Sam goes and thanks Gail and Sydney, and she asks them if she'll ever be all right. They tell her eventually, and then the movie pans out. I can't remember the end of Scream 1,
It's
but
the
is that
exact same.
yeah,
It's
okay.
it's it's almost
So,
like beautiful how like they bookended it like that.
okay. That's exactly what I thought, but I wasn't 100% sure. But
It
yeah,
was
so it just
amazing. Yeah.
so it just pans out with the news reporter, and that's pretty much the end of the movie, right? Overall, what did you think of the movie?
I mean, when I reviewed it, I gave it an A, and I think I'd still stick with an A. Maybe the plot holes are a little silly, and I could drift down to a B. Because of that, but like it's just like for what it is, and I don't like putting movies at bars. I think everything should be graded the same. But like this is a Scream movie. It accomplished its mission, and it accomplished it well. Some Scream movies do not accomplish. Said I've seen Scream 4. I can't tell you anything from it. I should watch it again. Maybe I'm judging it unfairly. I cannot remember it at all. And so I think like this one like brought back some of that awesome nostalgia you had that connected back. And so in general, I liked it quite a bit.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, no, I would say I enjoyed it for what it was. Like I said, I don't think I've watched Scream 4 myself, right? And if I did, I'm in the same boat. I don't remember anything about it, right? But I did enjoy the kind of nostalgia factor of them bringing back all the old cast members and everything. And yeah, the script was a little bit cheesy, but I mean, I thought all the kills were really well executed. No pun intended. And yeah, I thought it was a really kind of fun kind of horror movie. Like there was no real jump scares throughout it at all,
Mm-mm.
right? So yeah, no, it was really good. Right? I definitely really enjoyed it, right? So at this point now, it's time for the good, the bad, and the meh, right? So since you're the guest, I'll ask you what was something good about the movie that you really, really enjoyed? Like
So I want to shout out the directors. They are like a band. I don't know the name of their band. I forget what it is, but the actual names of them are Matt Batali Open and Tyler Gillett. And I remember when I heard they were doing another Scream, I was like, okay, sounds cool, whatever. But then I remember that it's like, oh, it's the guys that did Ready or Not. Holy crap! Like if you haven't seen Ready or Not yet, like, it is just like something really great. It's just really fun, and so like just like the fact that they like got to do this and they got to have the same fun they did with Ready or Not. It's like what I got the most psyched about.
okay, awesome, awesome. Yeah, I'd have to say for me, the kills. I don't know. Like I said, like the kills and everything were very well planned out. I just they I didn't find it come off cheesy like you do in most horror movies. Like some of the kills, like we did Texas Chainsaw Massacre earlier this year, and some of the kills were a little bit cheesy. Right?
Was it the newest one?
Yeah,
Whew.
right. Yeah, like at the very end of that movie, right? That was the cheesiest kill of them all, where he's like dancing in the street with it. But like, I mean, that's what he does in the old movies,
It was a
you know?
callback to that one, but that like didn't even like make sense. I don't think it's like where I don't know. It was such a weird. Oh god, that movie bugs me to no end.
Yeah, yeah, right. But yeah, like overall, I'd have to say probably the kills, like they were very, like I said, well executed.
Nice.
Um, yeah. So what was something that was kind of meh, like could have been taken out of the movie?
See,
Didn't really.
I don't think I'm playing by the rules a little bit, but my meh is that there's going to be a sequel.
Oh,
They're
there
doing a
is?
Scream,
Oh
yeah, they're
no.
doing a Scream 6. I know it bums me out on a few levels. First of all, like they're still like they went through this thing already with Sydney Prescott, Nev Campbell. Like they had a huge pay controversy already, where she refused to get the amount of money they wanted, and so it's not going to have her. And first of all, pay the lady. But second of all, you don't need those characters back. They passed the torch. I think those characters need to go move on. These same directors are back. The guys that did Ready or Not and the guys that. So
Okay.
on that level, I'm okay with it. As well as a lot of that cast is coming back. The people that survived at least. So it's like that's
Yeah.
a very talented cast. So with all of that, it's like that's my mad because I'm like. I don't want it. This was the perfect bookend. This is the perfect way. You made amazing tribute to the end of this. I don't know what you could do with a 6. I mean, granted, but also these are Scream movies, so they're gonna be self-referential. They're gonna like be like goofballs. They're gonna like talk about like stupid that this is happening. So as long as that doesn't like shove its head far too much up its own ass, I'll be okay.
All right. Well, as long as it doesn't take place in virtual reality, I think we might be okay, right?
Oh God! By the time it comes out, I might.
Right? Exactly. So if they stay away from that, I think we might be okay. Um, but yeah, so my meh, I don't. It was probably like how like they didn't have to make every like. Did they really have to make every character kind of so suspicious? Right? Like,
Yeah.
it seemed like everybody was kinda overly like, being overly suspicious in my opinion, right? So, I think they could have, like, calmed that down and, like, just kinda mellowed it out a little bit more, you know? So, if anything, if I'd have to choose anything, it would probably be that, like, just, like, why make everybody seem like the suspect? Just, like, calm down. Make nobody seem like the suspect, just make it seem like it's a regular, everyday life, and everybody just going about their thing, and this crazy stuff is happening, right?
It was like a game of Clue instead.
Yeah, right. So, all right. So what would be your bad?
We basically talked about this a lot throughout it, so I'll make it quick. But injury recovery. I mean, like I understand it's a movie. I understand it's fake. I understand, but like everybody got stabbed in this, and they're walking in a couple of days. I mean, like yeah. Oh no, they have a limp or something like that. It's like once in a while you're gonna crack a vital organ. I mean, like this, like not just the opening one, but all of them were just a little bit too crazy for me. Did it ruin anything? No. In fact, I was glad, but still, it was tough.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. That'd probably be the same thing for me. Like I did Gray Man my last episode, and one of the things that bugged me the most was the fact of, Ryan Gosling will get stabbed and he'll just be like, "Oh, okay, I got stabbed," and then just keep it moving. Like I
That was the
really right? Like I didn't enjoy that. So yeah, I have to agree with you on that. That's definitely my bad as well. Like the fact of everybody gets so injured, but you know what I mean? They can do all this stuff with no like repercussions and then just walk it off at the end of the movie. Like she literally walked up to them and was like, "Yeah, thank you guys." And then and then
There's
walked
a bunch
away.
of ambulances, and she just walks off into the distance. It's like, no, we have ambulances. Stabbed, please.
Yeah, right? So, okay. So, yeah, so that's pretty much it. So, I got to say I want to thank you for coming out and everything. And do you want to do your little shout out and let everybody know where they can find you and your podcast?
Yes, indeed. So, my Instagram page is Math Teacher Movies. I review movies. I do Monologue Monday, Shot Fridays, and What the Oscars Got Wrong Wednesdays. And now Top 10 Tuesdays. Yeah, my podcast is the Guy at the Movies podcast that me and Joe, who is, I'll shout out his page, Guy at the Movies. On it. The two of us have a blast talking movie news and fawning over Scream, which we did.
Awesome. So, yeah, like I said, thanks for coming out. We'd love to have you back. Hopefully
Definitely.
next time when John is here, right? And then you
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. This was an absolute blast. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem, man. Like that's kind of what we wanted to do. We just want to, get into other people's brains, see how they think of the movies different from, me and John. Me and John are pretty straightforward. So like, we enjoy seeing the perspective of, other people's opinions and whatnot, right? So
Right on.
yeah, so definitely we'll have you back and everything. And yeah, so you guys know where to find me. Instagram, Twitter, all the socials, Movie Night with the Boys. And yeah, anywhere podcasts are found, we're there. YouTube. And yeah, and we are part of the Geek Talk Network. So make sure you check out the other show on my network with Dustin and Tyler, What in the Anime. And yeah, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, thanks again, man. And we'll talk real soon. And I appreciate you being here. So yeah.
Thanks again. Thanks for having me.
So with that being real, deuces.
Thank you all so much for listening to Movie Night with the Boys.